Who's your favourite? So, cheer for Chatterer. Cheer for Butterball. Cheer for female Cenobite. Female Cenobite. Female Cenobite.
Girl power.
Yeah, girl power. Women in Horror Month. Absolutely.
It is Women in Horror Month. Thank you very much, everybody.
Absolutely.
But I think if cheer for Pinhead. Oh, not quite as groovy.
He's not here. He's not here threatening them. Yeah. Next question. Yes, John.
So, Clive Barker kind of, the whole Hellraiser thing, the BDSM kind of side of it.
Yeah.
Before horror, that was kind of, it really took its mold with that. Were you on board straight away when you were kind of describe what was going on? Because the books are a bit different, so that style being told that you're going to be pretty much BDSM here, were you on board, or was it difficult to...
Depends what you mean on board. Or did you see the pictures in Piercing Quarterly?
I probably did. I probably wiped them from. There were magazines.
There were magazines
that were on the set and in the makeup kind of areas of various corpses and dead body parts. There were magazines from
well, it was piercing.
Hospitals used to train medical staff, and then, like you say, there was like.
Well, I'm just going to say one phrase, and it's called penile bifurcation. And I will never lose that image from my mind, however long I live. And I remember Clive saying, "This is the kind of thing that's inspiring me, Nick." Really, really. Oh, okay. I think it was. You're completely right. It was completely original. And I think it was what's so dangerous and interesting about the Hellraiser movies. So. Right. If half of you like to move over there, because that is looking really weird now. That is looking. Yes, please come forward. We don't.
Because you said penile.
Oh yeah. I said penile after what you said.
All I said was vagina. Hello. It's okay.
And the penile is.
No, it's the second one, the bifurcation, which unfortunately, sadly.
I want you to.
I know what that means. Did I say anything else rude? I didn't, did I? Hey,
so was it a case you were totally on board as soon as he said it to you? Like that would be the direction it was going, or?
Knowing Clive, we both worked with Clive in the fringe theatre company called the Dog Company.
Well, no, you'd worked with him in fringe theatre. I just modelled for Clive. I was used to. Clive, you tell your story first, and then I'll tell my story.
So. By that time, I kind of knew his brain and what kind of turned him on, what excited him, and you knew it was never going to be the norm. It was always going to be whatever was on the fringes of society and the fringes of pleasure and pain. They were always the things that fascinated him. So yeah, I was kind of on the same page really before we even started talking about it. You knew we'd done a theatre production called Frankenstein in Love. And in that there was a skinned man. He created a skinned bodysuit, which Oliver Parker, who's just directed Dad's Army, the film, had to wear. And so that was the kind of an early version of Frank, except it was on stage. And it was a profit share company, but all our profits went into making new, incredible severed heads and skinned men, and they were all very sexual as well as being kind of quite grotesque. So yeah, you kind of knew where Clive was coming from. I certainly did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because as I say, I modelled for him. So Clive painted 6 covers for the Books of Blood. You can find them online and so on and so on. On the front cover of Volume 1, you can see me holding up a photograph of Clive with a knife stuck in my head. I know bits of my anatomy are scattered through the other 6 volumes, and I think it's number 4, there is a portrait of me. The children have gone now, right? Okay. There's a portrait of me, so the top of my head is peeled back and open, and you can see my brains. There are needles dropping into it, and below it, if you look, all my flesh is kind of fluid and moving around, but what is very clearly visible are vaginas and penises, erect penises, because it's Clive. So Yeah, same as you. You know, we very much knew what we were kind of getting, and I think it was kind of. I can't remember. Had you read Hellbound Heart before you saw the script? I don't think I saw the script. And then we met the guys, and they kind of described to us what they were going to be looking like and so on. And I'd seen the sketches of the costumes and so on. I was saying earlier on to one of the guys that basically the costumes, the original idea was we had these leather costumes, you'd see flesh, you'd see piercings, so that it was really, there were going to be long bejeweled needles and so on. But
as you were saying about long bejeweled, there's what you see very little of in the pictures or in the film was we had skirts on. And there's a picture over there which Spencer has, which shows the skirts far more clearly. And actually, we had sequined skirts on, which which is probably a deliberate thing that they didn't show it, because sequined skirts.
yeah,
it takes it to a whole new level.
It was supposed to look like chainmail, didn't they? They sprayed it down. But actually, you're absolutely right. They were sequined. Yeah, they sprayed it down. Yeah.
Well, I came into the second film, obviously having seen the first one. To me, the Cenobites, of course, were very interesting, but what struck me about the first film was Julia's obsession with Frank, and as I mentioned yesterday, her dedication to get her dead lover back. And it was very powerful, sexy female character, which Claire reprised in Hellbound 2, Hellraiser 2, that I found it really fascinating to find these, it wasn't just one female character that was very strong, but two. And, but I when I was being interviewed by Fangoria for my novel, The Venus Complex, shameless plug, they said, this wonderful question.
What's the name of your most recent book, Barbie?
It happens to be Voices of the Damned, covered by Clive. Each story has a wonderful artwork on it. Anyway, but to get back to it, Chris Alexander of Fangoria said, have you always been interested in S&M, or was your interest piqued when you played the female Cenobite in Hellbound? And that's sort of like, when did you stop beating your wife? It was like, how do you answer a question like, yeah, I've always been into S&M, it's really cool. No, but it's human sexuality interests me. And that's what this Clive bravely, blatantly, wonderfully displays in the first two Hellraiser films, is this kind of, I believe that human sexuality is 360 degrees. It's just not heterosexual, homosexual. There's all these things that people get into, and this is what's sort of shown. And it's so fearless in the way that he portrayed these things in the first two films. Nothing personal, babe. These lines are just wonderful.
Oh, nothing but I was go on, Snow White, give it your best shot. They changed the rules of the game. I'm no longer the wicked stepmother. Now I'm the evil queen. And I thought, yeah, you are, dear.
But see, Clive does write really brilliantly strong characters. And if you look at the Hellbound Heart, and I do urge you to read that novel, it's actually the lead Cenobite, as I keep tiresomely pointing out, probably, is female too. So you can imagine that movie. Three very, but I think the producers probably thought, people won't go for it. But it's a wonderful novel, and it's really funny and sexy, and this is the thing that attracted me to being in this. And also, I needed to pay my rent.
Yeah, like the rest of us. Yes, another question? Anybody? This is going to be a really short panel. Go on, John.
I'm reading the Scarlet Gospels at the moment, which is Barker's new book. If you've had a chance to come back and reprise your roles and obviously take other roles, in the case of Pinhead in Hellbound Heart, he is the voice of a little girl. So in the case of Barbie, would you play Pinhead and do the voice?
Oh, well, I mean, just because acting left me behind in my mid-30s, as they say. This is what thespians say. Acting left me behind, and I went into TV presenting and then being a casting director and now writing. Of course, you never lose the desire. It's just that if you get offered something, you want to be careful because you don't want to, any more kids, look like an asshole on screen or do any of these things. It's just you want to make sure the part is right for you. If the part that was right, I'm sure all of us would say yes. Of course we would do it. you know, and especially in this particular project that is close to all of our hearts.
Yeah, no, I love the Scarlet Gospels. I thought they were fantastic. Butterball does appear there very briefly in it. I would love to see the Scarlet Gospels being made into a movie or a TV series. I think it would be really fascinating.
By Clive.
Definitely with a script by Clive, but I don't think he'd release it any other way, to be honest.
No. Yeah, I love the part of Lucifer in Scarlet Gospels is absolutely fascinating, and so. And Harry D'Amour is really interesting, and the woman who he's not for me, but the woman, the psychic woman that he gets involved with. There's some great parts.
There's some great parts, and it's lovely
terrible.
To see
you read the book and you think that's a great part.
Yeah. Yeah, I want that. I
can do that. I can play that part.
Do that, falling off the wall.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry, Clive just did the first one as a director. Was there any reason for that?
The reason why he didn't go on to direct the other, when we came to do Hellbound, he was already deep in work in Nightbreed.
Yeah.
As writer and director of Nightbreed, and basically he didn't have. But I was saying, great lines. You were quoting Clive. I was quoting Pete Atkins in the second movie. It's just simply how much had he got time to do physically.
But the reason he wanted to direct Hellraiser, from what I can understand, is that they did. Oh my God! The first Rawhead Rex, and he just hated what they'd done to it. So he thought, I want to direct the next one. But it's sort of like when Sylvester Stallone was wandering around with this script called Rocky, right? And everyone, wow, this is a great script. I want to play Rocky. No, you can't. You are totally undone. And he just held out for the right deal so he could play that part. And I think that's the thing, is that as far as Clive was concerned, he wanted to direct this film because it was a project close to his heart. And
plus, he's such an intelligent guy.
He's still going strong though. He's still producing new stuff.
Yeah, and he writes quite often overnight, and then he'll go into a studio and he'll paint. He wanted to learn to make music because he's just got this brain that he said, I want to learn how to compose so that I can start doing music. And he's got the kind of brain you think, yeah, you could probably do that. You could just decide that I want to do this creative skill and that creative skill and just do it.
Was he acting with you, or
he did act in the Dog Company, but when I joined, he decided that he wasn't a very good actor, and when he was stopping acting, and he was getting into the directing side of and the writing.
Was that in London or Liverpool? Did you start off in London or Liverpool?
It was in London. They moved down from Liverpool because Doug was in the Dog Company as well. They moved down. They were like a school. They knew each other at school, and they moved down from Liverpool to London. And started off this French theatre company, and we toured to the Edinburgh Festival, and we toured over to Holland. We did a lot of work at the Cockpit Theatre in London. Paradise Street was one of the plays that he did. He wrote Crazy Face. After we disbanded, he wrote a play for me called Crazy Face, but I was already doing some shit pot boiler, make some money in theatre job, so I couldn't do it. So somebody else got to play it, which was really stupid of me.
Did you ever approach Channel 4 about funding, and you just think that he went to Hollywood and he didn't?
Ever approached Channel 4 about
independent movie?
Have you ever approached Channel 4 about funding something like that?
No, it's not. It's a very good idea.
It wasn't his area though, was it?
I think he struggles with funding. I think he struggles with getting taken seriously in Hollywood.
who does?
Clive, I think he's like a lot of people over there. I think he struggles to...
Well, it was interesting because we were talking about Clive has written a reboot of Hellraiser, a new version of Hellraiser. There is a script out there which he has discussed with Harvey Weinstein, and we've been at conventions where Doug has talked about this, and like I said, Clive will have Harvey will have agreed in principle, and then he will have looked at Clive's R-rated script.
Yeah.
And that was just, when played a year ago.
Clive talked to me about it, and it's not a remake because it's completely different to the original Hellraiser, but it is very R-rated.
And up until a month ago in a certain film called Deadpool, I would have said it wouldn't have stood a chance, but now everyone wants to do R-rated movies because they think they can make a lot of money there. So I'm hoping that there may well be a possibility that we would actually get to see that now.
Well, I think there's a problem. R is 18 and over, right? Or is it 21 and over? It's that the demographic everybody searches for is the 17 to 27-year-old man.
Not so much now.
Not so much now, which is great.
It's the silver.
But you have to look at it because it is a business. Do they really want to cut out, the 12 to 19-year-old or the 12 to 17-year-old audience? And so, let's cut out some stuff, and so they can do. I mean, Cameron was talking about it recently about Truth or Dare, that for the iTunes, they have to cut out a bunch of stuff, and for Netflix and that kind of thing, because some little kid can watch a download, steal their dad's iTunes ID and download stuff that is not appropriate for them.
But this is the really interesting thing, is that Deadpool is the most successful X-Men movie.
Fantastic.
So far. And that is mind-blowing. And it completely blows away the argument that it's 17 to 18-year-olds.
Oh, sure.
I'm
just saying this is the perception in Hollywood.
I think it was, Barbie. I think it very much was that, but that's what changed.
We're only talking about one film.
But also, you just have to see it. There's not going to be an R-rated Wolverine, etc. I mean, the other demographic that goes to the cinema is who's seen Marigold, the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel? Look at the age of the actors in that. That is the demographic of the cinema-going audience.
You're right, they're all...
The cinema-going audience now is in their 40s.
Is the Grey Rinse?
Is the Grey Brigade? It's the Silver Surfers. Young people watch movies on phones and tablets and so on.
Young people illegally download movies too. Very naughty.
Yeah, I mean.
So they see the R-rated things anyway.
Anyway,
Exactly. So we're
absolutely. But I think in the last month you've just seen a huge sea change. To see what would actually. So
fingers crossed.
There may be something.
Can I ask? Have any of you seen Deadpool?
Yeah.
I haven't yet, so
Would
please
you
no
recommend
spoilers.
it?
No spoilers.
Is it good? Is it worth going to see? Okay. I nearly went to see it in Liverpool last week, and I wasn't sure if it was like my demographic or not. But if you recommend it, I'll go this week.
It came out the end of January. February. Just February 12th. February 12th in the UK, and then something like that. It's great. It's one of the best marketing campaigns you've ever seen. The fact that they did a romantic version of the poster and recommended it as a Valentine's Day movie with Ryan Reynolds is just like it's. The interesting thing is, Craig, my husband, does not watch horror in the slightest. He has no interest in it whatsoever. And I think, but he wants to go and see Deadpool because he knows it's going to be funny. And I think that's what, it's comedy violence. It's very graphic violence from what I've seen. I've not seen it yet. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, any more Hellraiser?
Were you slightly disappointed in the second Hellraiser film that there wasn't much backstory to your characters?
Were we disappointed with the second Hellraiser? There wasn't much backstory to the characters.
Just to the three of you in particular, because there was a lot more backstory on Doug.
But kind of the second one was really about the story of the second one was Doug's backstory, wasn't it? That was the premise of it. It didn't really explain us, did it? Even to ourselves, it didn't really explain us. It was like we didn't know who we were going to turn into.
No, not until we read
we met the actors who were going to play us dead.
But did you like the shock value that for you it was actually a child?
I wrote a short story called Look See, which was published in a magazine called Fear magazine, and I got permission to do this from the producer of Chris, the producer, to do this, and he'd seen the scripts as well. The story that I wrote about just saying, they're liars, and the completely different backstory for the Chatterer and how the Chatterer became, and so on. I was hurt. I was disappointed. It was like, I want to be in this movie. I want my face to be seen. After I got over that and got off my high horse, I just think it's the most wonderful idea that a child grew up in hell. I'm almost certainly publishing a short story later this year, which is my take on why a child is in hell and what that is to do.
His name was Damien.
Do you mind holding them? Okay, in 2009, I was asked to contribute a short story to an anthology called the Hellbound Hearts, and it had to be based on the original novella. And Paul Kane, the editor, said, "Can you give it a spin on like a female Cenobite? Can't be the female Cenobite from the movie." But I wrote a story, and Clive kindly allowed me to use this art for Sister Celise, and it was Gary Tunnicliffe came up with the idea of maybe she was a nun in a previous life, and because I have issues with the Roman Catholic religion, I thought, perfect. So I wrote a story about a frustrated nun who becomes a Cenobite. Then there are two more female Cenobite stories. This is by Eric Gross. This is Sister Celise deciding she wants her own damn box, and so she creates a feminine sort of lament configuration. And then finally, she goes to hell and has a rebellion of the female Cenobites, and that's the final story. So if you're interested in a bit of background to a female Cenobite character, buy my book, because there are 3 female Cenobites, and they're really disgusting, wonderful, sexy stories. Yeah. Visceral.
Visceral is definitely a good word for those stories, yeah.
But it was fun, just making up this idea of how one would become so frustrated and so angry that you would want to, welcome the Cenobites with open arms because you're so tired of being a sad sack of empty flesh. You want something to fill you. You want to meet the Cenobites and be ripped and torn into something powerful and different and blasted and beautiful. So that was fun to do.
Yes.
I was speaking with Simon and Nicholas earlier, but just recently Hellraiser Judgment got announced, and as you were saying about Gary as well.
We said on the way here, somebody's bound to ask us about that.
Exactly, so I'm just wondering what your opinion on Judgment is and Gary's involvement, and obviously there's no Doug and there's no Clive involved,
So yeah, this is about Judgment Day, the one that's just been announced that's about to be made, the next
It's being
Hellraiser.
made, it's being filmed at the moment.
It's being filmed.
The cameras are rolling.
It's just a case of, do you believe that project, he's had it for years, can it revitalise the series and bring it back to any of
For those that don't know, Gary Tunnicliffe, who wrote and is directing it, also was a special effects prosthetics artist on Hellraiser 2 and Nightbreed.
And he did Doug's Pinhead.
For the first one?
No, Gary Tunnicliffe.
He did quite a few
he
of
did
Doug's.
half a dozen of Doug's, because they got it down to 69 minutes getting the makeup on, and Doug had a t-shirt saying Gary Tunnicliffe 69'd me. I think
but also he did the last film, which was the first one that Doug...
He wrote
the script for the last film, which was the first one that Doug wasn't playing Pinhead in. So there was a lot of bad feeling about that, and I know when we've been over in the States, Doug and Gary got together, and Gary was quite upset about what Doug had said. So there's a lot of kind of bad mouthing going on. So personally, popping peas, I wouldn't really comment until I know a bit more about it.
I'd like to see the movie before. And I think it's important to put it into context. I wrote at least half a dozen stories for the Hellraiser comics that were published by Epic Comics in the 1980s. Barbie's alluded to the Hellbound Hearts, plural, which is a collection of short stories given Clive's blessing. Clive obviously gave the blessing for the Hellraiser comic and so on. Clive's always encouraged creators to play in that world which he created, and so on. It's really easy to say this is not canon or that's not canon, it's not Doug. Well, no, it's not. You're absolutely right, it's not. But it's time, I really want to see this movie and find out what is... I like Gary. He's a really cool guy. He's a really cool guy.
He's absolutely adorable, and he was saying that he was set to direct Revelations, and they kind of took it away from him, and what ended up on the screen was not what he wanted. It wasn't his concept. So I can only hope that now he's in the director's seat and he's come up with a new story. Like we say, he's passionate about this idea. But my concern is, there are a lot of great films made on a really uber low budget, but this is 5 figures, and so they're not making it some kind of big budget fantastic thing. I only hope, because he's a bit of a genius with special effects.
This little film called Hellraiser was 5 figures
Right,
originally,
well,
before they saw the original budget for Hellraiser.
No, but
was
I
900.
have hope. No, but I know. But the fact that they're putting so little money into it, it doesn't give you a lot of confidence.
That was 30 years ago.
It was 30 years ago. You know.
Next year.
Yeah, so I think that is, you know, we'll look at, listen, I would never want to diss anybody's artistic product until, I mean, you know, I don't think it's fair.
It's exactly that, and the fact that, you know, there's a cast out there that are filming, there's a crew that are working really hard, and they'll all be
Heather
believing in
it.
what they're doing and hoping, doing the best they possibly can.
Yeah.
It's, so I think...
Let's just hope, you know, give them hope and love and honor what they're trying to do, and if it's crap, you'll hear about it, you know. I mean, I saw the trailer for Revelations. I thought that's what you're supposed to put all your best bits in a trailer, you know. And but from what I can gather, I haven't seen it. But have you guys seen Revelations? No. So, but I think with this, him being in the driver's seat, maybe it will be a, you know, a vision we will enjoy and like.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I remember just reading a random opinion piece before of just like how they could like revamp or like redo Hellraiser to make it work for a new generation or reboot the franchise, so to speak. It was kind of very controversial opinion of basically removing Pinhead and kind of recreating it. I was just wondering what your opinion on something like that would be.
To make a remake?
To like reboot the series or something, but without the character Pinhead.
That was an horror, or somebody was writing about it.
Yeah.
The best way to save the Hellraiser franchise.
But did
was
you
to
say
get
for a new generation, for like the generation that's coming up? Because that would be the key point, because that will be who you're doing it for. So instead of a puzzle box, you'd have a puzzle app.
That was done in one of the later movies.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a computer game. It's one of number 8, I think. It's
Hellworld, yeah.
Hellworld.
You get sucked into your
Been
iPad.
done. Sorry. Yeah, we are that old now.
And,
No, there was a big article in one of the, I can't remember if it was Dread Central or iHorror, and it was this guy who said, I think the only way to save this franchise is get rid of Pinhead. And I mean, but this is the character, you know, and the other Cenobites who capture people's imagination. I don't know if I agree with that. But it seems a shame that there isn't, you know, because when Rob Zombie redid he redid Halloween.
Yeah, he did. Thank you. I'm not going mad. Yeah, he redid Halloween.
Yeah, you know, it's just they apparently have fairly good budgets and stuff like that, and it's Rob Zombie, and that's really cool. But I think that it would be nice to see that, you know, the idea that Clive had, that to be made into it, because it's his original vision. But hey, whatever, if it's good, if it's well done, the scripts are good, that's what we care about.
and I know what Clive Scott kind of has written down for his, and it's very exciting, and very dark and wrong in every way. So, but I can't tell you what it is.
Anyway, we must, because we're wrapping up. Yes, go on.
How did you feel about the original version of Nightbreed being released like initially? Because up until recently, that was the only version. I know
Of Nightbreed.
Spoke about it a little bit.
Of
yesterday.
Nightbreed.
Yeah.
Nightbreed went through quite a few different, I mean, there was a really, before the Cabal cut of Nightbreed, there was a kind of rough cut that was shown at a couple of festivals, and it was rough. I mean, I think I was one of the only people that actually stayed to the end of it. It was that
3
bad.
hours, wasn't it?
It went on forever and ever and ever,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
really bad. I mean, it was really bad.
Original rough cut, you know, it's like basically they literally put the shots together with long gaps in between, and there's no editing and no timing and so on.
It's actually very hard to actually make it out.
It was very, to make it out, you couldn't really work out what's happening. And then they
It's a
put the-
work print.
They
Yeah.
put the Cabal cut, a work print, exactly. They put the Cabal cut together, which in some ways, I think it was a shame, because a lot of people feel they've seen the director's cut because they've seen the Cabal cut. But again, the Cabal cut was still pretty rough. You know, there was no Foley work on it.
1980s porn was how Russell, who put it together, edited it together, you know, worked on it. It was described it as because he basically had the work prints that hadn't been colorized and properly processed to make them nice and crisp and so on. So it's very dark and so.
Whereas now the director's cut is completely smooth. You don't see any of the joints. The Foley's there. They've put
see any
extra
of the
music
joints.
in.
As you don't see any of the joins, I like that line. Yeah, it's and there's somebody else who's still working who doesn't like the director's cut, so they're now doing their own cut as well, which is more, you know, it's like really it's quite fascinating how people get so involved in it. Simon and I are lucky enough to do the Hollywood premiere with Clive, and I think what was really moving was how much it validated Clive. It was a year and a half of hell for Clive making that movie. It really was. He had such a tough time.
He was only late 20s when Nightbreed came out, I think maybe early 30s, but he looked much, by the time it actually came out in the cinemas and he'd gone through hell with the studios and fighting them, he looked like a destroyed man. And it took him a long time to build his confidence back up after Nightbreed in 1990 when it came out. So when he finally got the director's cut and we went to the LA premiere and he came up on stage and he was in tears, you know, because it had taken 28 years for the film that he made to finally get to the cinema and for people to finally see what he was trying to make. He never really got his confidence back properly.
No, I think that's why you didn't really see. I mean, he made Lord of Illusion.
Lord of Illusions, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, well, he produced Gods and Monsters. Did he direct Hell? No, he didn't really. No, he didn't. But yeah, he produced stuff. Any more for any more? Yes, sir.
Is there anything special for the 30th anniversary?
Can you speak loudly? Sorry, it's really hard
So
to.
hard to hear you guys.
Is there anything special planned for the 30th anniversary of Hellraiser?
Is there anything special planned for the? I'm gonna have a cake. I've decided right this moment I'm gonna have a cake to do that.
What we ought to have, you know, the Lord of the Rings guys all had tattoos. We should really all have piercings, shouldn't we?
You speak for yourself.
We should make a pact.
I already do.
Yeah. We should have some slightly more unusual piercings, I think.
Seriously, you speak for yourself.
Go on, I will if you will.
Never gonna happen. Nor any tattoo as well.
I always wanted a tattoo.
You can have one. They will do it for people our age. You know, we're considered to be consenting adults.
It's just they just have to stretch the skin. Not yours.
No, mine's plump. As Eamon Williams says, there aren't any wrinkles on a balloon.
Nothing. We hope so. We would like to be nothing that we've heard of. I've heard of.
Do you want to do a tattoo? Do you want to do a tattoo? I'll do a tattoo if you do a tattoo.
What has she said? That's red.
No is the word you're looking for.
I have someone I have to clear it with.
Yeah. I've got so many friends. I have to say, we were talking about, because I know some of you gentlemen here because you showed us, and I'm sure all of us have signed parts of people's bodies near our tattoo, and they've gone away and had our signatures tattooed. It blows my mind.
It's a huge honor, I think.
It does. It's a huge honor. But and tattooing is such an art form now, and the photographic. We've seen some of the stuff, you know, as I look into the audience now, I can see some amazing stuff.
Well, I was showing a couple of you guys earlier. This woman in Spooky Empire came up to me, beautiful blonde gal with a halter top, and she said, "You want to see my Hellraiser tattoo?" And I said, "Sure." And she turned around, and her whole back was dedicated, and there was Pinhead in the Christ pose. There was me, you, Nico, and then at the bottom of her, at the base of her spine, was Frank's face being ripped, and then chains, and it was a work of art. This is what we're talking about. Body art is wonderful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
No, still not going to have a tattoo.
The worst one we saw, the very first convention we ever did was Monster something in
Boston?
Monster
You mean in
Bay-
Boston?
Yeah, in Boston.
In
No, it
Boston,
was
no,
Monster-
I can't. I know what you mean. It wasn't. It was not Monster Mania. No, it
in
wasn't.
Boston.
No, it's Boston. We're talking about the 10th anniversary
Yeah,
of Hellraiser.
and it was the very first convention. Was the 10th anniversary?
Yeah.
Art.
No,
This was-
yeah. This was art. This is very nicely done. It'd be nice. Yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, we.
No,
would,
we haven't got anything planned. Any ideas what we should do?
Let's have a party.
Any ideas what we should do for the 30th next year?
But having to buy all those chains for the party.
Make another
and the hooks.
Hellraiser movie. With
Make
Clive
another
Barker.
Hellraiser, yeah.
There you go.
With us in it.
Yeah, with Clive Barker. as well.
Yeah. We always said if they were going to do a remake, like a shot for shot, we should be the dinner party guests.
Oh yeah.
I actually put that in Jessica's interview. I said we could be exploded by the Cenobites while we're eating dinner.
Yeah.
Or play for Simon and I play
We can play the victims.
Play
Yeah,
the victims.
the
I'd
drunk-
love to play the victims.
Yeah.
Said it before. The actors who play those victims are just great. That's one of the strengths.
It got
of,
very close to creating a West End play of Hellraiser with quite a big West End producer, and it got as far as they got a really good set designer in, and he created this model, and they had the whole of the house, as the audience walked in, the whole of the house that it was set in was kind of revolving as the audience walked in, and then to get over the kind of the close-ups which you need for horror, as each scene happened, each room would separate from the house and would shoot forward. So it was kind of coming towards the audience. And then for the victims, which is why I got onto this, they had pipes secretly built into the walls. So when she was hitting the guy over the head, he would go back against the wall, and they'd have these pipes so the blood could kind of spurt out in kind of real time, and they got it all kind of sussed out, and they got really close. And I think they were waiting to see how, because the RSC did carry, didn't they, on stage? They were waiting to see how successful that was, and obviously it wasn't quite successful enough because it never happened.
Was it a musical?
Carry the music. I've always
The
said
Cenobite musical.
Hellraiser the opera. I'd love to see. Yes. Hellraiser because
Christopher Young's score is it's soaring and brilliant and nearly operatic. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's operatic.
When we made Hellraiser, rap music was only just starting, and we did say when we were filming it we should do the Cenobite rap.
I think I was going to play keyboards.
Yeah.
Somehow it made sense that Chash would play keyboards. You were going to be the drummer.
I was going to be the drummer.
You were going to be the drummer.
And Doug was going to be we can.
We want the man. We want the man. We want the man who did this. We want the man. We want the man. We want the man who did this.
I actually
we are
had a
not rappers, as you
short
can tell.
career as a mime drummer, so I think I should have been the drummer. I played a drummer in a film that never saw the light of day called Grizzly 2, and so I could do the drumming.
Okay.
Grizzly 2 is known for the fact that George Clooney, Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen all get killed by the bear in like the first 10 minutes. This is before they were famous. It's never seen the light of day, but you can see bits on YouTube if you search.
Was that the sequel to the 70s movie Grizzly? Yeah. All right, cool. That's awesome.
Anyway, it's 5 o'clock bang on. Unless anyone's got any. Go on, one last one.
What's your favourite moment from the movies you started? Hellraiser and Nightbreed, or any others you've started?
Favorite moment.
I can tell it's easy, and it's mostly because of the restoration that's done by Arrow recently, the high definition restoration. It's when Julia brings home the first victim, and they stand in the hallway. And I was telling you about this earlier on. It's the way Robin Vision is beautifully lit. Their faces are visible, they're beautifully lit, but the light is behind them, and you've got this stained glass window, and Julia is standing on I'm getting goosebumps. Julia is standing on the threshold between light and dark, and there's this hesitation, and is she actually going to go through with this? It's on that restoration, when I saw it on the big screen in London at Fright Fest, I just went, wow. It's just amazing. I mean, the performance, but it's just the line. That is definitely my favourite movement for Hellraiser.
Well, my favorite moment in Hellraiser is when she's in that room before she discovers Frank is in there, and she's remembering the hot sex she had with bad boy Frank, and you could just feel her obsession, and it was just, it was really cool, sexy moment. I think in the second film, it has to be when she gets her own back on Frank and she just takes his heart out and she's holding it and she's like going, nothing
It's nothing personal,
but-
babe.
which is what he said to her, you know, and it was just, she got her own back, you know. Again, they're two Claire Higgins, you know, moments, but I love it.
And mine would be when they're carrying the first film, when they're carrying the bed up the stairs. I just think it's a lovely, clever piece of filmmaking. It's something that everybody has done. You know the pain that's about to happen, and the bed's going up the stairs, and you see the hand going up the banister, and you see the rusty nail. You know what's going to happen, and then when it happens, you see the skin torn back exactly as it would happen, as you know it's going to happen. You feel the pain yourself because you know what it feels like. And I just think that's
And the great
genius.
thing is that cuts so beautifully with what the scene you did, because as they're shoving the mattress up the stairs, it's intercut with the pelvic thrusts of Frank in the bed with Julie. It's a beautiful piece of editing. It really is.
It's just so clever.
Absolutely.
Every time you do home decorating or you're moving furniture, you damage yourself in some way. You know, it's correct, it's real, it's truthful, clever.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, we done? Yeah? Thank you very
Thank
much
you
indeed
very
for sitting and
much.
listening to us. Thank you very much
Also,
indeed.
thank you so much to the organizers of
To these Screamvention
Lisa
having us
and the
across here.
organizers of Screamvention for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you guys and for being here in beautiful Dublin and to meet all you gracious, adorable people.
Woo! Do check out my YouTube channel.